Hello, my dear friends. How are you doing? Hope you are having an amazing day and not having to deal with drama. Ready for new stories I have for you today? Let's go to the first one. Buckle up, as it's a long one, and don't forget to listen to the end of the story to hear my insights. Enjoy the stories, guys, and please like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. I, female 46, got pregnant with my daughter Sarah, female 26, when I was in college. My parents and my then boyfriend's parents pushed us to marry, which we did. My late husband unfortunately passed away a week after our daughter's second birthday because of a heart complication that we did not even know he had. It was a very hard time for me, and I went through a very bad depression. 4 years later, I met my now husband Robert, male 46, on a blind date set up by a friend. He was one of my best friend's cousins. We hit it off and got married a year later. Even when we were dating, he was very hands-on with my daughter, and it did not take long for my daughter to call him Papa. Even until we got married, and when I got pregnant 2 years into the marriage and gave birth to twins, male 17 and female 17, he acted like a father to Sarah. She was even included in my husband's family reunions and the cousin group photo shoot that my in-laws organize every Christmas. Things took a bit of a turn when Sarah turned 18. She started calling him by his first name, and both Robert and I were taken aback with the change of attitude she was displaying. I asked Robert what that was about, but he only shrugged, not knowing the reason too. I thought things would go back to normal, but she has been consistent in calling him by his first name, so I asked her if we could talk. Robert asked if he could join, which Sarah agreed. To make it short, my daughter overheard my husband talking about a Father's Day trip to his friend who owns a hostel. His friend asked him if he forgot to include Sarah since my husband only asked him to prepare 3 bedrooms. My husband replied that he planned this trip for his real children only. It wouldn't make sense if Sarah was in the trip since he wasn't her real father. This made Sarah feel betrayed and hurt because she saw him as her real dad, even if she knew he was her stepdad. My husband tried to explain to her that though he loves her as a father, his love for the twins were different since they were his real children. I wanted to just shut him up because he was overusing the word real. But Sarah told us to leave her room. What made that day even more depressing was that this day was her last week with us before she leaves the country for college. Since then, every time she comes home, Sarah acts like nothing happened but continues to call Robert by his first name. Robert didn't want to add fuel to the fire and just tolerated it. And now, few years since then, my daughter announced her engagement to her longtime boyfriend. We were very happy for her as they've been dating since they were still college freshmen. 2 weeks before their wedding, we were wondering who would be walking Sarah down the aisle. I assumed it would be Robert since I thought we had moved past that incident. But no. My daughter scoffed at me when I told her about Robert walking her down the aisle. She said, "I thought it was obvious that Uncle Greg, my late husband's brother, would be the one to do that. Besides, I'm not his real daughter. It wouldn't make sense if he walked me down the aisle." I did not talk back. Instead, apologized for my ignorance and told her that I'll speak to Robert about it, since he also assumed he'd be the one to walk her down the aisle. When I told him what Sarah said, he was pissed. But I politely reminded him of the incident years ago, which made him even more upset. He said that it was a long time ago, and Sarah should move on. I, who was offended for my daughter, told him that he shouldn't be upset since he doesn't see her as his real child anyway. He then got teary-eyed and told me not to speak to him. He still attended Sarah's wedding but looked visibly down. We still aren't on good terms and have been pretending in front of relatives. My daughter does not know about this, and I want to keep it that way. But nevertheless, it's been a week since my daughter's wedding, and Robert is still upset. He only talks to me about the twins and household stuff, but beyond that, he keeps everything to himself. I feel really bad, and I think he is acting this way because of me. So, with that being said, am I the a-hole? OP is right. He shouldn't be upset. He should have never said that, but he did because he obviously feels that way. Instead of apologizing and rebuilding trust, Robert continued to act as though his behavior had no impacts on Sarah. He has no right to expect to walk her down the aisle. And the fact he thinks she should get over a childhood thinking of someone as your father, only to discover that person doesn't think of you the same, really speaks to how little he truly cares for her. And now let's hear the community's opinions and OP's daughter's comment. Not the a-hole. She saw him as her real father, but he didn't see her as the real daughter. He can't pick and choose when she's his daughter and when she isn't. Robert brought this on himself. He acted as her father from the time she was 2 years old, so he is the only father she has ever been aware of. Yet he called her not his real child, and was careless and cruel enough to do so where she overheard him. Of course, the consequence of that mean attitude is that she doesn't consider him to be her dad. He created this situation. Now he is continuing to be immature and cruel by punishing you for stating the reality of the situation. I think you need to talk to him, and because of his immature attitude, you should probably do it in the presence of a mediator, like a family therapist, if you can afford one. If you can afford one, I would show him this. He will hurt his relationship with you if he doesn't man up and take responsibility. He could have been doing his best to repair the damage his cruel comment made, but didn't bother. So, of course, Sarah assumes nothing has changed. He is not the wronged person here. She is. Robert is learning, or perhaps more accurately, having consequences forced upon him, that some bells cannot be unrung. He jumped off a cliff, he can't go back in time, and he doesn't have wings. There is nothing he can do, and he just needs to accept that. Hey guys, my cousin sent me this post while my husband and I were packing some stuff for our honeymoon earlier, and she thought it was my mom. My cousin is one of my go-to people, so she knows every single drama in my life. We're really tight. I was skeptical at first since I would never have thought of my mother using Reddit. It's just too random. Until I read the overheard part of the post. It just brought back very good memories. On top of that, I noticed that the fake names used are based on the first letter of our real names. It gave me the confirmation that this is my mom. I just want to say that I don't appreciate that some of you are calling my mom an a-hole. But I also don't think it's your fault, since Mom left out a lot of details. After I left for college in the States, a lot of things happened. My cousin, the owner of this account, was the one filling me in with updates. So Mom and Robert had a huge fight regarding me. Plus, Robert always came home late and drunk from the cockpit. The twins, well, they were shielded from the drama because they were children. They kind of separated for like a year. My mom went to live with her parents. I was always in contact with Mom, and she always asked for my whereabouts. You know, normal mom stuff. She also kind of filled me in about her separation from Robert. I actually felt guilty because I knew it was because of me. Their biggest fight was when Uncle Greg, I will be using the fake names Mom used to not add confusion, confronted Robert about the incident because when I arrived at my university dorm, I caught him sobbing and told him about everything. Uncle Greg is the typical cool single uncle and has always been protective of us cousins. So when he learned about it, he went on full Papa Bear mode for me. Robert was kind of mad that he was getting into our business. Mom told Robert that Uncle Greg, actually my cousins and I call him Dada, because he's really like our second parent, also has a say in this since he's family. But Robert wasn't happy about it. So yeah, that insinuated a big argument that almost led to Robert and Uncle Greg having a fist fight. They were already throwing unkind words to each other, and everyone was just emotional. When I learned about what happened, like I mentioned, I felt guilty and bad. So I sent Robert an email since he doesn't use Messenger. In the email, I told him that he should apologize to Mom and make things right for the twins. I did not receive any response from him, but eventually, he and Mom made up after a year. I was quite happy because I really didn't want to ruin my mom's marriage. I love my mom so much, and I'd do anything for her. You might be wondering why my mom did not initiate divorce. Well, first of all, divorce is still illegal in my country. Second, annulment is extremely expensive, and even if we were kind of well off, my mom's a physical therapist and a teacher at a university, while Robert used to be a public accountant up until I was 16 and owns a commercial space. Their pockets would have hurt, and annulment takes a lot of time to process. Today, I reached out to them, and I told them that I wanted a proper conversation because this has been long overdue. I think we all need some closure. I do want to note that I have moved on, but forgive? I don't think so. It pisses me off that Robert thinks I can just move on, forgive, and forget. It's hard to think that this was the man I used to call Papa. What's even more sad is that I still see him as my Papa. The pain I felt that day and when I started calling him by his first name. I even wanted to major in accountancy because of him. He was my role model. There are a lot of moments where I just want to go back to that day and pretend I did not hear anything and let it slide. Then maybe I'd still call him Papa. But I would be an idiot for thinking that because no matter what, the damage has already been done. So yeah, I'm contemplating on if I would update you guys on our talk tomorrow. I've texted my mom not to look over the comments here because some of you are just brutal. Sorry, I just don't want my mom to feel bad. P.S. I want to add that both my mom and Robert paid for my college tuition. I did not get any loans or anything. Student loans are uncommon in our country. Parents are always the ones paying. I'm actually grateful that Robert helped pay, but that still doesn't remove the pain. My husband has been really patient and supportive. Little trivia. We were classmates in high school. I was the talkative girl in class, social butterfly. And he was one of those goofballs. And we actually fought a lot back then. And we eventually developed feelings for each other throughout freshman year. We were surprised that we went to the university. We were both catching up on each other's lives, and yeah, the rest was history. Background. I've been with my husband for 7 years, married for 5. We have 2 kids, 4 female, 5-month-old boy. But I've known him my whole life. My sister-in-law is 31 years old and the only girl in our family. She's also the oldest grandchild from both sides. To say she's an entitled attention seeker is an understatement. Everything has to be about her. For example, when we got married, she cried for a week and demanded we wouldn't post wedding pictures because she was having marriage troubles. When we bought our first home, she said we were banned for speaking about it because she couldn't upgrade hers. When I found out I was expecting a girl, I just told people. She went on Facebook Live and got her son to bust a gender reveal balloon and made a clingy speech. Had a cancer scare. She told us we weren't allowed to speak about it due to her mental health. Got pregnant a few weeks after I found out I was pregnant to, in her words, steal my thunder. When our house burned down in May and we moved in with the in-laws, she said she had to move in with her parents because she had a feeling her husband didn't love her, even though he moved in too, and they seemed more than happy. Bossed me and my daughter around. Let her son, 7, intimidate my daughter. When I'd try and talk to the both of them, she'd scream and demand I leave the house for a few hours. In lockdown, while I was 8 or 9 months pregnant. Told me to cut off dying grandmother when I was trying to tell her goodbye a week after giving birth because it was upsetting her when she could have left the room. There's a lot more, but those stick out. But long story short, we moved into a new house in September. She moved back home a week later and basically have been no contact till she gave birth a few weeks ago. Now my husband wants to visit her and I should forgive her. He can go see her, but I don't want her to be around me or my kids. The intimidation was bad, even when after the baby, which she found hilarious. I told him no, I'm sick of her and her controlling us, and our marriage is on the rocks because of her. Like, we've come to the point we haven't kissed in a month, and honestly, I hate him because of the BS he let happen. Tonight, he told me I was just jealous and have always been. I need help because mentally I can't deal with this any longer. I hate your sister-in-law. Your husband needs to grow a pair for duck's sake. Right? I got so unbelievably angry reading all about her. I would have lost my crap and told her to grow up by now. Ugh, she's awful. As is your husband for allowing this to happen. And to claim she's jealous? Of what? Of being a spoiled woman child? And he, as a father, was willing to let his child be intimidated. No, you're not jealous. You're setting boundaries, and hubby should get on board if he wants his children to be raised and loved properly. I think you need a little bit of background here. None of my family is overly religious. Christmas for us is more of a tradition of meeting loved ones rather than a religious celebration. We all live in different parts of the country with busy schedules, and Christmas is something we all look forward to because it means everyone is together at the same time. I, male 34, met my girlfriend, female 33, 2 years ago, and even if we haven't admitted it to anybody, I was in love with her within a week. These last 2 years, despite everything, have been the best years of my life. She's from the Middle East. Her family moved here when she was a teenager and is from a Muslim background, although she's an atheist. So am I. Because we started dating in the midst of a pandemic, my family didn't meet my girlfriend for the first 1.5 years of our relationship. I have tried to include her in some Zoom calls, but it was hard to introduce someone new to my family on a video chat. It was only last summer, when everyone were fully vaccinated, that I could introduce her properly to my family. I thought their reception was lukewarm at best, which was a bit odd because Mom always been too enthusiastic when introduced to my former girlfriends, to the point of annoying even. Last Sunday, my mom called me and asked about when I will be coming. Usually it's the 23rd through the 27th. I answered that my girlfriend is working on the 23rd, so we're catching the first train on the 24th. My mother was confused and asked why, girlfriend's name, would be coming. This is a family-only occasion. I told her that she was family. My mom was taken aback and told me that neither my girlfriend nor the family would feel comfortable having her because they would only have met her a few times. Maybe she should wait until next Christmas if we're still together and they got to know her better. I asked her if everything was okay, if my girlfriend had done anything wrong, because my mom has welcomed my girlfriends in the past. Some of them I only dated for a few months. She told me we were adults now and things are different. I told her that I should think about it. What do you mean think about it? I told her that I need to rearrange my plans and call her back. Yesterday, Tuesday, Mom called again. She asked me if I had told my girlfriend that she isn't going to celebrate Christmas with us. No. Mom started crying, saying that I was choosing a woman over them. I wasn't. She said that she had already planned the food and sleeping arrangements. We can bring our own food. She then said that it was disrespectful of me to try and impose my girlfriend on them. Why does she need to celebrate with us? I mean, Christmas isn't really a tradition of hers, is it? It honestly took me a few seconds to realize what she meant. Are you telling me that my girlfriend isn't welcome because she comes from a different background? Why didn't you start with this information? She got flustered and started to explain away in panic, that my girlfriend might get offended by our traditions. Maybe she would feel left out. Of course it wasn't about her being from a different culture, blah blah blah. I told her I needed to think about what she said. My brother called me later that day asking what's up. I told him everything. He said that he could understand where Mom is coming from and that both my sister and his brother's wife thought it was odd that a stranger would be living with us without forewarning. I admit that I just assumed that both me and my girlfriend were welcome because they all knew it was serious between us. I don't know if I am acting entitled because Mom should host and not host whoever she wanted. But I can't help but feel that Mom's main reason is that my girlfriend is from a different background, and I feel revolted by it. I never thought it of her. She spent her life helping people with different backgrounds, and even spent a few years in remote places aiding people in need. She's a nurse. Also, respecting her right to invite whoever doesn't seem to be enough either, because she seems to be sad that I may want to spend Christmas with my girlfriend instead. We both work a lot, and we're looking forward to spending our vacation together. I don't want to tell my girlfriend either. I still haven't told her anything because I don't want to hurt her. It was all my fault. I don't want her to pay for my naive assumptions. Help me sort out my feelings. I don't know what my next steps should be. Edit. Unfortunately, Mom has called my girlfriend before I had a chance to warn her. I just spoke with girlfriend on the phone. Mom called her today when she was at work to ask her to convince me on going home for Christmas. She told my girlfriend it wasn't personal, but she didn't feel it was right for girlfriend to tag along. She promised to invite her next Christmas if we were still together, and told her that it's important for her, Mom, to have her children around her on Christmas, and that girlfriend surely understood where Mom's coming from. Now I'm pissed. I'm meeting my girlfriend for lunch tomorrow. I asked her not to answer any of Mom's calls until we've talked. How unfortunate this is. This is simple. Do you see your future with your girlfriend? If yes, stay home with her. Your mom has the right to host and not host whoever she wants. You, however, have the right to refuse, to not attend. You aren't choosing your girlfriend over your mom. Your mom has decided that excluding your girlfriend is more important than including you, which is her right, but you don't have to play along. Intentional or not, I have no time or patience for paternal power plays. My mother tried to pull something similar when my ex-wife and I first got together, and I very plainly told her not to call me until she was over it. If you're going to exclude my partner, then you're excluding me too. Tell your mom you're not the one making decisions here. She is. On general principle, you're not going anywhere that your girlfriend isn't welcome, especially if it has anything to do with her culture or ethnicity. That's discrimination, and you're not going to be party to it. My partner and I are a package deal. If my best friend wants to have a drink, just him and I, that's fine. If my mom wants coffee or a movie, just the two of us, that's great. If it's a holiday celebration, if it's a whole long weekend thing, no. You don't get to ask me to leave my partner at home alone, or to exclude them. That's a big duck you from me. I'd be annoyed if not downright angry. Stay the course. Don't get mad. Don't get upset. Just tell your mom you're a package deal, and she's free to take that or leave that as she sees fit. But you're not going to be intimidated by your family into disrespecting your partner. Update. I had a very cozy Christmas with my girlfriend. My girlfriend's sister, her boyfriend, and one of their brothers joined us on Christmas Eve, along with some other friends who couldn't travel back home for some reason or another. It was brilliant. Many of you suggested a getaway, but we didn't manage in such short notice, but this turned out just fine. Girlfriend and I met for lunch the day after I wrote my post. I appreciate your advice about telling her the truth without sugarcoating it. It made me sad that my girlfriend wasn't surprised at all by my family's reaction. She told me that she had suspicions about my mom and sister not liking her, and she had a hunch as to why they didn't. She told me that I could go home for Christmas because she knew how much it meant to me to see my parents, siblings, and their children, but that she didn't feel comfortable tagging along, even if they changed their minds. I told her I was home with her. Anyway, when I got back to my flat, I texted Mom that I was staying in town for Christmas and that we could talk after, and that she could under no circumstances text or call my girlfriend without my permission. She didn't answer. Yesterday, Sunday, Mom called and woke me up at 8:30. She said she and Dad were on their way, so I drove home to wait for them. Mom had brought food, gifts, etc., and she started sobbing. She told me that my sister was so upset and thought I ruined Christmas because my nephews and nieces were very hurt that I didn't show up and cried all weekend. She apologized for calling my girlfriend, and she told me that she thought I already told her everything. She told me that she's very sorry for the misunderstanding, that she didn't know it was so serious between girlfriend and me that I would rather spend Christmas with her. I told her that she knew it was serious. I call my mom on a weekly basis and talk for probably an hour. I have done this since I moved out for college 15 years ago. I have told her everything about my girlfriend, how serious it is, that we are planning to buy a flat and move in together next year. How could she think the relationship was not serious? Do you dislike her because of her ethnicity? To that, she started sobbing even more and told me that I wasn't being fair. I knew her more than anyone else, and I knew that she wasn't prejudiced. She just wanted me to be realistic and to think hard about the consequences, instead of ruining my future by running after looks. If I chose to pursue this relationship, my children won't look like me. She's just being realistic because she's aware of how society treats minorities, and she just couldn't bear it if her grandchildren were prejudiced against. It would break her heart. I asked her if this was my sister and brother sentiment as well, and she said yes. I was appalled. I would never have thought it of my mom, who spent her whole life teaching us kindness and helping others, to say things like this. My heart broke for my future children. I felt that I needed to protect them and my girlfriend from these disgusting beliefs. I told my parents that I needed space and that they could stay in my flat and lock when they leave, but that I didn't want to talk to them more until I contact them. I told my mom that she absolutely isn't allowed to contact my girlfriend in any way for any reason if she wanted the smallest hope of being in my life. I left for my girlfriend's. It's now 4 a.m. and I still can't sleep, so I thought I would update you. I will tell my girlfriend everything because she needs to know all the facts before she decides on staying with me or not. Many of you have proposed proposing to her. I don't know. I never imagined these circumstances when I popped the question. I don't want to propose to make a point to my family. I want to do it when it's the right thing for us. We have been planning on buying a flat and moving in together in 2022. I think I want to go ahead with our plans because I refuse to let anyone interfere or change our plans for our future. About my family, I'm going to need to distance myself from them. I need to sort my thoughts and feelings out. I hope they respect me and leave me alone. First, it's not her traditions, but it easily segued into your children won't look like you, and twice that you need to think about something vaguely ominous without coming out and saying it. Your mom is R. Wow, your family have shown their true colors, and it isn't pretty. I would cut them off until they fully apologize and make amends with you and your girlfriend. You are awesome for standing up for your girlfriend and what's right. It's always the hardest to stand up against family. I really applaud your actions. Build your own traditions and teach your beliefs to your kids, and the community will thank you for the value add. Ah, The old "I'm not R, but" line rears its ugly head again. Sorry, OP, you've established that your family are, indeed, Xenos. It's a crappy situation, and my sympathies go out to you and your girlfriend. You made the right call by spending Christmas with your girlfriend. It sounds like you'll be keeping your family at arm's length for quite a while, I fear. My children won't look like me? She's just being realistic because she's aware of how society treats minorities, and she just couldn't bear it if her grandchildren were prejudiced against. Sounds like she'd be the one who would be prejudiced against them. How does she think you're going to fix society's prejudices without challenging them and calling people out on it? Update 2. My relationship with my mom isn't good at the moment. She's going around saying that I'm an ungrateful son who chose a stranger over her and my family. The last straw was when she tried to contact my girlfriend, again, to tell her that she's coming between a man and his family who loves him. Is that how your mom raised you to be? I called her and told her that if she didn't stop immediately, she will never see or hear from me again. I've not answered any of her calls after. My sister is angry with me for upsetting Mom, even after I told her the whole story. She didn't really care about what I had to say. We're still in touch, but not as frequently. My dad, well, I can't even say what my uncle heard him joking about with my brother. My uncle had the audacity to joke about what my father was saying. I have never been close to him anyway. I admit, however, that I didn't expect such vile stuff coming out of his mouth. My girlfriend and I are back to work. We're not actively looking for a place together as we planned. It's not so easy to find the apartment, but we're not stressed about it. We have been talking a lot about this last experience. She said she was sad it turned out to be this way, but that nothing has changed on the way she felt about us, and I'm grateful for that. I just love the bloody arse of her, to quote Douglas Reinholm.